Welcome to In5D Radio's Cosmic Awakening Show, where we are serving this galaxy and beyond. Hey, my name is Michelle Walling, and I'm with In5D.com and HowToExitTheMatrix.com. And our goal is to reach as many people as possible with a database of articles, videos, and radio shows that will help aid you in your spiritual awakening. At the Cosmic Awakening Show, we encourage you to question everything. And I'd like to give a very special thanks to my sponsor, Greg Prescott from In5D.com, which is the world's hottest esoteric, metaphysical, and spiritual database on the Internet. Greg is also the webmaster for our sister site, BodyMindSoulSpirit.com, and I created HowToExitTheMatrix.com for those who would like to go even deeper into the big picture of the possibility of the planet existing in a controlled matrix. So what we're going to do about it. And I also have a website called CosmicStarseeds.com where you can find all of the articles that I've written and all of the Cosmic Awakening shows. And you can find out about how to book a holistic life coach session with me at MichelleWalling.com. And you can find every episode of the Cosmic Awakening show on In5D's iTunes page. So you just go to iTunes and you type in In5D and you can pull up all the episodes of not only my show, but Helene Lipson and CJ Miller and Greg Prescott as well. And I just want to mention that we just started a new In5D network, and you can find all of those YouTubes, the In5D YouTube channel. And what that is about is that's just a video presentation that every time I have like an urging to put something out there, I will just sit in front of the computer and record a session and talk to you. And you know, this is kind of different because a lot of people have just seen my picture but haven't really seen me on video. So it's new for me, and I'm working it out, getting my my butterflies out and just sitting down and hanging out with you. I have two episodes so far on the In5D YouTube channel. So a special tonight to all of my Facebook friends out there. I just love everyone, and Facebook groups and Cosmic family out there listening tonight. There's probably a billion, maybe more beings in the cosmos that are listening tonight. So hello, everybody. You know, on Facebook groups, there's a couple of really cool groups that might kind of go with tonight's show. One is called the Law of Attraction Experimenters, and one is called Pleiadian and Star Family Healers, and they really talk about vibration and healing and clearing your energy field in that group. So I love you guys. And this week's topic is healing emotional pain. And our guest tonight is the reality whisperer, Brad Johnson. And he'll be bringing through a dronus in the middle of our show. And if you have a question that you'd like to ask Brad or a dronus, you can call in. The phone number to call is area code 646-716-8890, and you just press 1 to enter the queue. Now, I want to encourage all of you to call. This is a very special opportunity where you're going to have you can ask any question relating to healing or what's going on with the times we're in now. There's really no limit. So if you have a burning question that you really need answered right now in your awakening process, your healing process, or connecting with your multidimensional self, tonight would be the night to call in, and please do not be shy. You can also type in a question in the chat room, and I will definitely try to keep up with that tonight. So, Mr. Brad Johnson is a psychic, a healer, a channeler, a spiritual teacher, a dream interpreter, and an Akashic Records reading, among many other things. He's very multi-talented. He's the personal channel of the multidimensional consciousness known as Adronis. You can find out more about Brad on his website, www.realitywhisperer.com. So I'm just going to go ahead and bring Brad on, and we can talk, as much as he wants to about his beginnings and what he does and everything. We're going to get right into the meat of things after that, and then he's going to give us an example of channeling and going to explain how it is that he actually connects with a part of his higher self. So, Brad Johnson, welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Hi, Michelle. Thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome. This is a long time coming. We've talked about doing this before, and just things came up and fell through, and I'm really excited to finally bring you on because I've had some personal experience with some sessions with you that I wanted to share with people tonight. You do healings, you do a lot of things, readings, private sessions, working one-on-one with people. You do courses. I mean, you just put yourself out there, and it seems like to me that you're working, as hard as you can to bring information to people. So I'm really glad to have you on. One of the things that I've had with you is I had what is called a abundance healing. So we'll be talking about my experience with abundance healing. So, Brad, from what I understand, your experience. Let's talk about a little bit about your beginning. Won't go too far into it because I know that you've been on a lot of radio shows and people could hear a lot about that. I want to know what's going on in the real world today. But how did you first make contact with Adronis? I understand, like in 2008. I did a little background check on you. 2008, you started with like automatic writing, and then you started connecting with this being that came through in 2009 for conscious channeling. Could you let the audience know a little bit about that and what the reason why a being contacted you, who it is, and where this being is from, please?
Yeah, and it's a heck of a story. Again, there's a lot of information that is on my website, realitywhisperer.com. You can just go in the About section, and you can find out more of the deeper story. But in a nutshell, it really has just represented starting a novel. And that novel really got me into researching more about the extraterrestrial presence, because I've always been big on that since I was a little kid. And I wanted to find out more about making this novel that was like a nonfiction science fiction. And just in doing this novel, doing research, I started discovering people like channelers and understanding more about what they were talking about and getting a really strong indication of saying, there's something here. And then being able to look into psychics, intuitive, black op personnel, contactees, etc. They were basically all saying the same thing, relating to the extraterrestrial presence and saying that, these beings are real and that through something as simple as meditation, you're able to connect with them. So I just really got excited about this. And I was never into meditation before 2008. I wasn't into the spiritual work before 2008. That was not in my goal, not my agenda, anything like that. I was into filmmaking. I was into writing. I was into marketing. I was into all that stuff. And so I just started looking into meditation firstly. And I went into my library, took out a book called Learn How to Meditate, read it from front cover to back cover within a few days, did all the exercises within it, and I went really, really deep. And there was a lot of incredible things happening to me when I'd go to sleep at night. I would basically go into these kind of non-physical classrooms, basically almost looking like streams of light that were just starting to teach me a lot of these things without words. And I'd be able to wake up the next morning and know things I didn't know before. And this just kept happening throughout the span of, this entire 7 years that I've been doing this. And it hasn't stopped. I'm still getting these dreams. I'm still getting these downloads. I'm still getting these incredible forms of information that are just instantaneous. And so I just started to talk to other channelers and saying, what is it that you guys do? Looking back at that in 2008. And I just wanted to observe them. I just wanted to witness them and see exactly, what kind of work they do. It was kind of like looking at it as an investigative reporter. And then I would just see exactly what they would do and the techniques that they were mentioning to me and telling me how they got into the state. And I said, this is very interesting, what? So the heck with just being a witness, I'm going to go ahead and involve myself into this. And so I started getting into automatic writing. I took in what other people were saying about techniques, and I just made it into my own. Looked into ideas and just using imagination to create these particular types of techniques, which is just basically being able to, if it's, for example, connecting to the star of Sirius, you'd see the interpretation of the star of Sirius in your mind, and you'd just be able to shoot a cord, an energetic cord, into the sun of Sirius, and just being able to connect and just imagining that the stream of light, the stream of energy is coming through, and you're now receiving transmission. You're basically receiving thoughts in your mind that you know are not your own. And that really was the entire process of me connecting with Adronis. So I had a friend who, again, was a very well-experienced channeler and was just telling me a lot about what he was doing. And he basically just came to me one day and said, you know what, Brad, I just feel that as I read your energy now, that there's a really strong connection with you with Sirius, and you should really just get into the state and connect with that, because I feel that there's someone there that wants to talk to you. And so I said, okay. So I went ahead, and I did a few other automatic writing experiments before that time. And I went into the automatic writing state, which is basically, again, just getting into meditation, having a little notebook handy so you could write things down with a pen. And I just started doing my technique, and within probably less 60, 90 seconds, I was able to connect with Adronis. And he basically came through very, very clear. The flow was so powerful, so strong, everything was instantaneous. I didn't have a clue of what was being said other than just being in sync with the thoughts that were coming through at the same time. And so he basically said, you know, I am you within the future, and I've come back at this time to help you in regards to your state of spiritual evolution. And if you agree to this, not only will you be evolving as well, but you will notice that those whom you interact with will be evolving along with you. Would this be something that you would care to do? And so I agreed. And this is basically what began the journey, just starting into automatic writing. And I was doing automatic writing for a few months, and then just wanted to really go deeper into the vocal channeling process. I knew quite a few channelers who were vocal channels, and I thought that would be a lot more easier than just writing everything down all the time. And so it took me a couple months to really get into vocal channeling. It was really just getting into meditation and really going deep and surrendering yourself and not thinking about the flow that was coming through. I did talk to also Dara Anka about channeling as well. He was on a radio show one time. I was talking to him, and I said, you know, how do you do this? What do you do to go into channeling? So him and I had a conversation, and I talked to him a few other times through email, and that's what really just started to really get me more grounded in communicating with Adronis. And I think that's why some people say, you know, you sound a lot like how Daryl Anka goes into Bashar. I said, well, because his techniques, the way that he channels and the way that I channel is very similar. And I think that's probably why there's a lot of mirrors there pertaining to that. It's actually a lot of, Daryl Anka's sharing with me that really helped me to get into the state. And he didn't even really say that much. It was just basically, it's kind of like I knew what he was saying just with the few words that he was sharing with me. And so it really just kind of clicked in a lot more there. He just basically simplified it, and I was able to click into it very, very quickly. So this is really what began my journey with Adronis. And since that time, since December of 2008, that's when I started channeling him, and it hasn't stopped ever since. And I've just been getting some incredible information from him, and it's transformed my whole life around. I went through a very tough time when I was first starting out. I was basically shattering myself. I had to shatter myself completely down, because I had to relearn about what reality is. And that's a very important step. You need to break yourself down, deconstruct yourself, and reconstruct yourself again for you to truly understand what is a path of enlightenment. It's not just going to come through with you feeling that you're going to adopt this as a state of identity. You really have to understand that this is completely taking a 180-degree transformation to yourself. If you're still in pain and you feel that, well, all I have to do is just keep going towards the positive, you're missing the point there, right? It's being able to really look into the idea of the pain itself rather than having to sweep it under the rug. So you really have to look in the idea of embracing that particular pain and let it talk to you and listen to what it's attempting to tell you. And as you start to do this, you start to alter yourself. You start to change. And you just break yourself down, and you see the value of every single piece as you reconstruct yourself. And that really is the method that really involves channeling as well, too, is really being able to go those extra levels by firstly breaking yourself down and building yourself back up.
Well, I think a lot of us on this show have done that. We call it the dark night of the soul. Basically, when you awaken to the fact that something is really wrong in your life and in the world, and you make a conscious commitment and basically speak to the universe and speak to your soul, speak to Creator, the Source, Creator, and just say, okay, I'm awake now, and I'm making a commitment to spend the rest of my time in this body while I'm alive to find out who I am and to heal myself and to serve on the planet, because most of the people listening tonight realize they are star seeds. Everybody on the planet had to come from somewhere. So, yeah, I think that part of that is definitely the hard work of the dark night of the soul, and a lot of us know what that feels like. Now, Adronis is a multidimensional mentor, you call him, and he is from Sirius.
Yep.
As you had talked about connecting with Sirius, and then that's where you found him. And Brad, I don't bring too many channelers on because there's a lot of information out there that starts out with dear ones and a lot of fluff out there. And what I like about Adronis's messages is that everything is so high vibrational and comes through a little bit maybe too technical for me, but maybe because I'm not on a level quite yet to assimilate it that quickly. But when I go back and read it a second time, I get multidimensional meanings out of it as well. It's very interesting, the information that comes through. And I was just wondering, what is the most prevalent message that you feel is most important that Adronis has been giving people at this time?
Well, firstly, it is very true that there is a lot of channeled messages that are fluff out there, and I don't prefer to listen to those either. I don't really consider myself only to just be, the idea of a channel in that sense. I just feel that there's just so much more to what I am going into, and I just like to play with these different arenas themselves. So when people say, Brad, you're a great channel, I said, okay, that's great, but that's like looking at a pie with a very small slice of what I do. And it doesn't really matter to me in regards to what I do, because I have no particular forms of quote-unquote goals to reach, really. It's just me being myself and being natural. And however that comes about, that's just for other people to decide. So I have no intention of how anybody wants to remember me or recall to me in that way. They can make up their own minds, because I love perspective from others. But in regards to a message that Adronis has shared, there's so much. He has had so much information over the years that has transformed so many people. For me, it was really, reality is by interpretation. And that really just helps you to understand that you're not taking reality so overly seriously and feeling that, this person thinks this of me or the world thinks this of me, and I guess I must buy into that. It's more so in the idea of understanding that you are reclaiming the value that you hold for yourself and being able to understand that everything that you're going through right now is just all part of your creation. This is all you. Everything here is you, and that you're always going to be infinite. It's your own belief systems, it's your own feelings of what you create as value that may represent limitation and that may represent the idea of stagnation. But understand that there really is 2 points to the universe in regards to cycles, and that represents expansion and contraction. And it's not just about expansion, and I think this is what people a little bit misunderstand. What can I do to expand? What can I do to expand? You have to contract first. You have to understand that in order for us to breathe, for our body to function, we have to inhale and exhale. We contract and we expand. And 2015 represents a year of contraction. And so I refer to it as a year of integration, but it is a contracting year. And it's very, very important that you understand that when you go into contraction, you're going into inner reflection very, very deeply. It's very, very important to reflect inwards to yourself before you have the capability of expanding. And so this is really, it's just giving yourself more time to really go into yourself and reflect and see exactly who am I? What feelings do I want to adopt that best serve me? And making sure that you are able to live through those feelings of what you prefer. It's not so much in the idea about what's going on in the world. It's more so in the idea of understanding that through your own world, you have the capability to make it anything you wish. And that is really how your world becomes what you prefer. And it's also being able to have a lot of patience with yourself. Again, you're going very deeply inside yourself, and you have to explore this tapestry that represents yourself. And so the more that you are also aligned to contraction and also aligned to the idea of what you're going through that may represent chaos through your own physical reality, that is just as important of actually looking into that than it is to evolve. So evolution holds the idea of a contracting and an expansing form. So as long as you're able to understand that you function through the cycles of both, and you're moving into the times to where there is contraction and the times to where there is expansion, then you are moving into the ebb and flow. Now you're moving into the natural current that will help to allow you to evolve into the next level of being.
Well, if we're in contraction at this time, and I know that you're talking about, generally the human population, it's obvious that most of the people on the planet, the majority of the people are not awake and aware of who they are and are having to contract in order to wake up, in order to realize that there's something wrong. But and there could be people in 2015 that actually began the process of expansion. But when do you see, humanity as a whole going more towards expansion?
Well, if we're looking at the idea of expansion, we're hitting it all the time, and it just depends in regards to our views of expansion. A lot of people consider expansion as saying, we're a unified people, we all get along, we have telepathic communication with each other, we're living symbiotically and in harmony with the animals, we're living in a very utopian type of energy, where there's free energy and we don't have to worry about money anymore and stuff like that. That will eventually come, but that's not where we are right now. Right now, we're going through a very strong transitional phase. We're going through contraction, and through this particular type of contraction, we need to look at hundreds or even thousands of years to where there has been a lot of this personal turmoil. When you look at the collective consciousness, you're looking at it as yourself. How long did it take you personally for you to see exactly what you needed to go through in order for you to expand? Have you reached that point to where you have moved past the physical reality and you're back to pure energy? No, you're here and you're on this planet and you're still learning. And so the whole idea is that transition of expansion will always happen in increments, which means that it's basically just giving you indications that certain things are being pushed at a certain time. But the whole key here really is being able to let go of feeling that you're responsible for the collective consciousness, because you're not. The only consciousness you're responsible for is yourself. You're not responsible for your neighbor. You're not responsible for your mother, your father, your parents, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children, etc. It's all being able to understand that, yes, we can share ideas, we can inspire each other, we can watch out for each other in that particular way, but we're not here to control anybody. We're not here to feel that they need to go on this path that I'm going on, because if we don't, oh my goodness, the world's going to explode. And that's not going to happen. The whole idea really is that this is only your world. The only world that's here is yours, because you're only going to see the world through your eyes. You're only going to see this particular perspective altogether. So your personal expansion is truly what's at the idea of focus here, rather than feeling where the collective consciousness is going. The collective consciousness evolves itself through increments of trends. So the trends itself, in regards to what people are noticing within the government, monetary system, ecological growth, sociological growth, political growth, etc. All of that is happening in regards to the increments of the collective whole. It's not your responsibility to worry about that. You just basically have to look into the idea of saying, what can I do to evolve my reality in the area that I want to? And that's looking into the areas of the feelings that you inhabit. And if you feel that you're worried so much about the world and you're concerned so much about, where are we going? When are we going to have extraterrestrial contact? When is there going to be first contact for the world? It's not up to you to say. Again, we're looking into seeing all of these particular transformations unfold, and it will eventually happen. Right now, you have the ability for you yourself to personally have contact, to actually have connections with extraterrestrial beings. So this is where it's more important to look at your world in regards to everything that holds that expansion. Now, where we are in 2015 on a collective level, we've shifted immensely. There's an incredible amount of shifting that's happened, and we are definitely meeting new ground. The bubble is only going to get bigger, and the only way to go is up. And so that's where we're going on a collective level. But really what's more so important is that it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare analogy, that you're the speedy hare, and you're able to go as fast as you can go. And that slow little tortoise that represents the collective consciousness is going to take its time and evolve itself, because it needs to move through its own understanding about who it is. And so that is the collective being. But the singular being that represents yourself can go as far and as deep as they possibly want to, as long as you understand that you are working together with the feelings that serve. And this comes more into the idea of what's known as equivalent exchange.
Okay, well, we can talk about equivalent exchange in just a second. I have a few more questions or comments, really. I think once you realize who you are and you begin to make that connection with the higher parts of yourself, meaning in other dimensions, I think the hardest part after that, once you're like, okay, I've got it figured out, I'm working on who I am, and I'm healed my body, and I know how to move my energy out of this control field, in the real world here. Well, the hardest part is actually living in this world when you are thinking on a different level and you've connected with your higher self and you've got family members that think you're absolutely nuts. Perhaps you're going through relationship issues with your partner because they don't understand. You can't even have a conversation with anybody. You just basically get fed up, and sometimes you just end up finding yourself alone unless you've found a partner that is as equally, I guess enlightened could be the word, but more balanced, and basically out of the negative programming that we've been in so far. So what's some really good advice on how to walk both worlds at this time? It's so hard.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Michelle. I mean, I've had that experience myself too. When I first started to awaken, my whole family thought I was going off the deep end. What is happening to Brad here? What's this all about, this channeling extraterrestrials, and what's this about him going into all this deep spiritual stuff? Is he trying to be a teacher? Is he trying to be an ascension cult leader? What's going on here, right? I had all of that stuff happen to me.
Me too.
Yeah, like, don't drink the Kool-Aid, Brad's pouring arsenic in it. You better watch out. So. And you're absolutely right. And a lot of people I've talked to thousands of people throughout these 7 years. And you're not alone in this feeling. There's thousands of people that have come up to me and said, Brad, I just don't get it. Why is there such resistance in us trying to spread love? Because we're in a very, very deeply controlled mainframe matrix that has been operating for thousands and thousands of years. We're basically very much into an opposite effect of how a planet naturally evolves. If we look at the idea of natural planetary evolution, we're very much in the opposite, because we've had thousands of years of this type of systematic dogmentation, this dogma that has come together, and people just come to me and say, I feel like I'm losing my family. My family just thinks I'm going crazy if I start looking into channeling, or if I start looking more deeper into metaphysics, or I want to get into energy healing. People just start thinking that I'm crazy. Then you have to embrace that. That's basically the way that it is, and it's going to be challenging, because so many of us want to see our family saying, hey, you know what, I would love to do this too. Like, if I heard my entire family say that, I would just be over the moon. I'd be doing cartwheels and saying that. And it's more so in the idea of understanding that that's an acceptance. You have evolved to this particular point because it's not about feeling that everybody that you feel in your life has to be on the same level as you. Not everybody is going to hit that finish line with a ribbon across their chest, right? So there's going to be people who feel that they're just, when they're moving into that advanced state of spiritual evolution, that they're going to be streaming past the idea of living in a box in a 5-sense reality. That time has passed now. And so the whole idea here is that what can I do when I notice that my family is ridiculing me, that my friends are ridiculing me, that everybody around me I feel is ridiculing me? Because you're ridiculing yourself. You're having such a hard time with you saying that this is actually who I am right now. Maybe I need to still put on a white hat and try and dance around and still pretend to be part of this old paradigm. You can't. Once you've seen the magician's tricks, you're not going to be in the front of the audience and say, oh, I wonder how he does this, right? You know all the tricks of the game. And so it's just basically a lot of people still want to watch the magic, try and saw the woman in half, and still curious about how he does it. You already know how it's done. You've seen every particular trick in the book, and you no longer need to be in the front seat anymore. And now people are ridiculing you and saying, oh, why aren't you going to see the magician anymore? Because I know how he does everything. I know exactly how that's done. So that's just giving us an analogy and saying that we have reached past the point where we don't need to pretend anymore. As much as there can be the idea of a sadness of an old paradigm that is starting to evolve past your life right now, there's a new paradigm that awaits you. And it's really just being able to look in the idea of the context of what family truly is. Family is your entire human race, is everybody that's on the planet. Family is everybody that exists beyond our earth. Family is everything that represents consciousness. And so it's being able to really stretch your definitions of where you feel that there has been burden. If there's burden because my own natural biological family can't accept me who I am, I have to really embrace that. I have to respect that decision. Is it painful? Yes, it is very, very painful. But, this is something that you have to work through. This is the part of the deconstruction that I was talking about, right? So this is contraction. And really going into the deconstruction and saying, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister don't care about what I'm doing. They think I've gone off the deep end. They don't want to talk to me as much anymore. I have to accept that because there's nothing I can do or say that would cause any particular type of improvement of that situation. So even though this is very painful for me, I have to work with that pain. I have to understand that I'm going to bless them. I'm going to let them be exactly where they are because they are just as much as a free will being as myself. And I'm going to now move myself into a whole brand new paradigm that's telling me this is where I need to go because this is who I am. I'm not doing this for any reason. I'm not being spiritual because it's cool. I'm not being spiritual because it's the in thing to do. I'm being spiritual because this is who I am. I am a spiritual being. And there should be no other reason why you're doing this, right? And so, again, a lot of people have felt very lost with the idea of not feeling that they can reconcile with their family or their friends, or coworkers, etc., and just feeling they're being a laughingstock. Then it's time for you to change your scenes. It's time for you to change a new avenue. That may be time for you to change your job. That may be time for you to change your moving location. That may be time to have new friends that will come in together that are more supportive of you. That's how the universe works. You're not going to have the exact same catalysts of people in your life if you are now transforming. Now, again, this is where, briefly I'll talk about equivalent exchange. And, there's a lot of media that talks about equivalent exchange. In fact, one of my favorite shows is called Full Metal Alchemist, and it talks about this quite a bit. And it's very true. I've known about equivalent exchange for a few years now, and just recently seeing this show, I'm like, wow, okay, great. I'm glad something like that is there. But basically, in a nutshell, equivalent exchange, in order for you to obtain something of equal value must be given in return. So basically what that is giving you an indication of is if you want to attain a new aspect pertaining to yourself, of who you want to be, of who you want to grow yourself as, you need to move into that particular alignment of feeling that particular type of energy that is reciprocated with that result. If you are feeling that you are allowing yourself to become this really great spiritual person, but you're only surrounding yourself in people that do not reflect that positivity of you becoming a spiritual person, then you're not moving into that particular type of alignment in a pure level. You're still fighting it. You're still going into it and saying, people still think I'm nuts. What's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Oh, this is horrible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you're buying into the idea of having that opinion of another person look into your soul and saying, ha, 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 you're just foolish, you're crazy. And so you're buying into the foolishness and into the crazy about what that value is. And so equivalent exchange will say, okay, well, Bob still feels that he's still crazy and that he's still being ridiculed, and he's bringing more people's opinions into himself and feeling this is who he is. And so equivalent exchange says, well, then that's what he's going to attract. He's going to have more of this feeling of ridicule and the feeling of craziness because he has given value to what the people around him say he is. So in order for that to change, you need to believe and in that sense be certain of who you know yourself to be. And that is all working together with the emotional pain and realizing that this is a feeling that I have chosen because feelings are programs. They're nothing more than programs. They're subconscious implants that we are basically experiencing. That's who we are as human beings. We're basically consciousness receptacles. And so we are receiving these feeling-based programs into our mind and getting us the indication about this is how I see myself in regards to how I see my value, in regards to how I deserve to be felt right now. So whether that's positive or negative is entirely up to you relating to feeling.
Well, and people right now, they ask me a lot, what is my life purpose and what can I do to help at this time? And I think you've pretty much answered that by, basically right now, all you really need to worry about is working on yourself. And I just wondered if when you work on yourself and you're realizing all of these things about energy exchange and about healing, doesn't that actually help shift the collective consciousness because we are connected?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got it there. And it's
and
basically
opens
what's
up the
known
door.
as yes, yes. It's basically known as a snowball effect, right? So basically, we
Mm-hmm.
start putting a little bit of snow forward because we're evolving ourselves. We're starting to align with other people who are evolving themselves as well too, and this is generating a snowball effect. So that people can refer to this as the 100th monkey effect, right? So being able to understand that all we have to do is bring humility into our world. You do not have to bring humility into the world. You only have to bring humility into your world, and that's becoming the example of the person that you want to be. But in order for you to be that particular person, you need to first identify with who you are not relating to that natural person themselves. So the whole idea here is being able to notice that that snowball effect gets generated by everyone becoming that of quote-unquote Christ-based consciousness, looking into the idea of saying that I am Christed because I feel that I am at one with myself. I feel I'm at peace with myself. I'm having to do a lot of arrangement. I've had to basically filter out old friends, and this is my own story as well too. I've had to filter out ideas of my family. I had to filter out my ex-wife. I've had to filter out leaving, my home and filtering out a lot of old friends that have been with me for years, because I know that that particular paradigm of everything that they represented was no longer who I was. And it was painful to do that. It was very, very hard. It's probably one of the hardest things I ever had to do. But I knew exactly why I was receiving this. And really just saying that, there's two paths generally that you can look at. You can stay in the darkness and pretend to be somebody you're not by dancing alongside these people that are, again, pretending to be so amazed in front of this magician who you already know all the tricks. Or you can take a bit of a bumpy path and you can start to move into an alignment of a new life that really represents yourself. But in order for you to do that, you need to give yourself that 180-degree turn. You need to, in that sense, phase out people who are no longer a part of the complement of this reality and really move into the idea of saying that this is not the popular path, not right now. In the next couple hundred years, it certainly could be. But this is not the popular path as it exists right now, because people are just so apathetic in the idea of feeling that, I need to be here at my job, I need to be here at my work. I can't imagine leaving my wife or my husband. I can't imagine doing any of that because I need this. It's survival, 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 right? And that's moving into a survival mentality. That's basically being in this big pit. And then when you start to question everything, you're moving out of that pit and you're coming into the valley. You wanted to know more about reality. You're not just so satisfied with being stuck in the box anymore. You realize it's an illusion. And you're the valley folk. You're the questioner. Then, of course, you move into stage 3. You start becoming a mountain climber. You start to take action. You exist in reality because you're improving yourself. It's basically kind of looking at the Star Trek principle. We work to better ourselves and the rest of humanity because we see ourselves more than the idea of the dichotomy that represents traditional society of working 9 to 5, paying bills, and et cetera, retiring at age 65, all that stuff. So you become a mountain climber and you start to improve yourself, and that's the whole nature. Life becomes complementary to you. Then you reach the top of the mountain. Then you become the summit folk in that way. And all that you are is isness. You are I am consciousness. You are basically undisturbed by everything that reality throws at you because you realize you're more than this life. You realize you're more than this physical body. You realize you're more than the problems that you inherit. You're past all of that. And when you get into the summit folk and be part of that I am consciousness, nothing on this planet disturbs you. The world could be falling apart before your eyes, and you're sitting on that summit smiling. And that's it, right? That's basically what you could refer to as one of the most ultimate goals, is realizing that you are more than everything. I am everything. I already have everything because I am everything. I do not need anything because I am everything. I do not want anything because everything is me. I am the all. I am the one. I am everything here and now, and so it is. And that's the idea of an affirmation that represents an I am consciousness. So all of us eventually at some point are going to get there. But right now it's just a very mixed bag about where we are through those 4 stages of human spiritual evolution.
Well, I suppose if you're at that level, I mean, are we talking about being able to manifest from the background energy because, you still have to pay the bills at this time until something changes on this planet?
You're not worried about paying bills. That's the whole idea. It's no longer seen as the idea of being perturbed by the idea of paying bills. or being perturbed by the idea of paying rent or having to, in that sense, do all these particular tasks that allow mankind to function the way it is right now. Bills don't bother you anymore. People who, in that sense, procrastinate about you or procrastinate about other people don't bother you anymore. And so the whole idea is that there is a humility that is created through every single action that you do. It's not so much in the idea that you're having to sit into a cave and eat rice out of a bowl and feel this is what it is to be a summit folk. No, it's not that at all. You are still interacting together with society, but you are not succumbing to the illusion of what that society is trying to tell you. You are basically just wandering around as a witness. Everything that you do in regards to paying bills, in regards to walking to get groceries and to taking care of the kids, etc., is unperturbability. And you're moving yourself into such a natural, undisturbed state of consciousness that no matter what happens on this planet, a meteorite could be just running right here through the sky and ready to strike down. You're still there with a smile on your face because you're immortal. You're eternal. You never die. Everything that you are is complete omnipresence, interconnectedness to all things. You know everything, and in that sense, realizing that you do not require anything because everything is to you. Now, really looking into the idea of yourself is that as I look at a self, I realize that I am limited. But when I understand that the universe works through me in the idea of this natural state of symbiotic consciousness, one with the universe, you know everything. You can answer every single question that anybody wants to ask you, and you will have the answer because it's not you answering it. It's you that represents the true nature of the universe. The universe is flowing through you, and that's basically where we're going. That's imperturbability because we are moving into that particular action, that energy where everything right now is seen as a reflection. It's kind of like looking at a little kitten that's just trying to attack itself by seeing itself in the mirror because it doesn't understand its nature of self. Well, it's us attacking other versions of ourselves that are walking back and forth with us because we don't understand that those are reflections of ourselves. When you are in that state of I am presence, you see everybody as a mirror of yourself. And so there's no need to attack that which you know you are to be through the reflections you see.
Well, let's take people down the road on how they can really get into this meditative state. Do you remember which books you started out reading on meditation, or the author, or do you remember any of those first books?
I had that. Yeah, I had that one book that was called Learn How to Meditate. The link to that book is actually on my website. But in all retrospect, I've hardly read any books. Very rarely. The only books I've really have read that I've enjoyed has really been like the Law of One series. I've also read the Anastasia books, the Ringing Cedar series, and just a couple other ones here and there. But really, I haven't really looked into many books, hardly at all. 99%, I would say, of the information that I have obtained has been through universal consciousness, has been through universal guidance. And it's just a very good synchronicity that when I'm looking at something, I synchronize to something else, that may be online, that may be through the internet, that maybe someone else is also sharing as well too, and I stumble upon that synchronistically. And so I notice these particular things that come together. Somebody may say something as well too, and then I'll look into that myself, and then bam, again, more synchronicity comes together. But yeah, I really haven't looked too much at other books. A lot of the stuff that I do is really just natural, universal connection.
Okay, and really, people just need to practice and create their own method of how they like to sit, whether they like to lay down, what kind of music gets them into a state where they can not cut out their thoughts, but cut out all of the mindless chatter and random thoughts and thinking about what you need to do that day or worries, and just spending time with yourself and maybe doing some deep breathing and some grounding. And we write about those things on In5D on how to, what to do before you meditate and kind of how to meditate. But do you do a lot of deep breathing, or do you just take a couple of quick breaths, or how do you, I know that now you can probably go straight to that meditative state when you sit down, but what would you suggest for people who are just starting out on breathing techniques or the preparation to get into that state?
Just relax and let your relaxation be the technique you use. So if that is taking some deep breaths and just relaxing yourself, because again, deep breathing is great. It really just helps you to center yourself. You're sitting on a couch or you're sitting on a chair, and you really just want to relax yourself, yeah, I absolutely recommend, just being able to do a lot of deep breathing exercises and just, follow the breath. Take your time with the breath. Don't feel you have to bring it in so quickly and bring it out so quickly. You just want to stimulate the idea of relaxation within your being as much as possible. Some people enjoy also being able to see colors while they're taking deep breaths in and out. They're able to look at a nice, beautiful, light turquoise color, and that feels like that relaxes them, or a nice green color, and that feels that relaxes them. That's great as well, too. Some people may also want to do resonant tuning, being able to do Om chants, or being able to say a mantra or an affirmation. That's great as well, too. Some people may want to put in relaxation, meditation music in the background as well, too. They may also want to light candles. They may also want to light incense. They may also want to close down all the doors and lock all the windows and just be completely shrouded in darkness. That's great as well, too. The whole idea here is that know how you relax and experiment with how you relax. So, again, there's so many different techniques about how you are able to relax yourself. But the really key is that everybody meditates differently. Everybody goes into that particular state. And the more that you can move past the idea of something that's generic and actually look at something that works for you, it's saying, well, Brad does this and Brad does that, maybe I should do it exactly as Brad does. If you feel that that works for you, great. But that's not a necessity. It's all about you deciding exactly how meditation works together in the best way that it can for yourself. So just being able to really respect the idea about how you want to relax. Relaxation is key no matter what formality you want to put in meditation.
Okay, but for someone who's actually been trying to meditate and is actually spending time with themselves, and they're spending, 20 minutes, and they've been doing this for quite a while, and they just feel like that there's nothing really happening, and maybe they're looking for contact like you received from a being from Sirius, or so basically what you were saying before, though, is that you took your consciousness to Sirius. How do you do that? Or let's just say we're not going to try to contact anybody from Sirius, but let's say that you want to contact a part of your higher self. How do you actually go within? What does that really mean? How do you take your consciousness within? How do you use your imagination to do that?
You have to understand exactly what within means to you. And if you feel that it's still something that represents some type of external distraction, if it's something that is emotionally badgering you, this is what's going to cause a lot of roadblocks in your mind, preventing you from going, quote unquote, within. To go within is just basically being comfortable in your own space, being comfortable within your own presence, being comfortable within your own body. Is your body aching when you're starting to do meditation? You're not comfortable. Are you procrastinating with several thoughts about how much your day sucked today? That's a procrastination, and that's not being comfortable. Is there something going on in your mind where you're constantly worried about? Are you being pulled into yesterday, or are you being pulled in tomorrow? That's not being comfortable. The whole idea here is that you really want to work in stilling yourself. Be relaxed. Just imagine like you're, again, at a day of the spa, right? Everybody around you is just pampering you and complimenting you and saying, hey, look at how you've worked out. You got some sexy buns there, whatever, right? But just giving you the whole idea that you are just being pampered. You're being pampered by creation. Everything around the universe right now is showering you with soft, whispering compliments. You feel this massaging energy come around you, and you don't have a care in the world. And I say that would be one of the biggest ingredients in regards to meditating or connecting with other beings. Not to have a care about the world. Not to have a care about yourself. Not to have a care about anybody. And so the more that you really just go into that complete state of relaxation, to go within is to relax into presence, is to be here and now, not to be tomorrow, not to be yesterday, but to be here and now.
That's really about letting go and being comfortable with yourself, in your own skin. I like that. Well, I do have some more questions, but I'd like to go ahead and introduce Adronis in a few minutes to the listeners. And I was just wondering, do you feel like at this time, as much as you've been in contact with Adronis and had Adronis merge with your energy field, do you feel like that he's really coming in more often in your natural everyday state? Do you feel like he's more like walking in, or do you still feel a separation between you in the here and now and in this third dimension, and then there's more of a separation and he actually comes in and you bring through his energy? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd say it's basically that Adronis Plus is part of my reality right now. It's part of everything that I am. And when I first started out, yeah, I definitely saw Adronis very much as someone who is separate from myself. I saw myself in layers. And so I had my physical layer, and then I had my Syrian layer in that sense that would represent Adronis. And then, of course, you have other layers that would represent omnipresence, multi-dimensional consciousness, God, isness, consciousness, etc. And so you would see those particular types of layers when you first start. When you do this, for as long as I've been doing it now for 7 years, all of those layers begin to compact upon themselves. They begin to amalgamate. This is what also Adronis refers to as the amalgamation effect, is that the more that you're putting your energy in regards to continual focus about what serves you, that focus therefore generates the magnetism to bringing all of those layers of what was originally segregation into unification. And so you're unifying all of those particular layers together. I see myself no different than I would see a universe, right? Everything that I am right now is a continuum of expression, is a universe itself. So I don't see a difference now between Adronis and myself. It really is just one being. And so we, yes, differently exist in different perspectives, but again, that's all that we are as souls. As souls, we are, again, existing in a multitude of infinite dimensions, realities, realms that are converging upon itself for us to become whole. And so that's basically what I'm going through, and that's, again, what I've seen many people that are going through right now, is just starting to see this convergence, this harmonic convergence of them going into themselves and realizing that they are just as many beings as everything that they could portray themselves to be, Pleiadian, Sirian, Arcturian, Andromedan, et cetera, et cetera. All of those particular aspects of themselves, of what they see themselves is now converging, and now they're seeing themselves as that one particular being. So that would be, in the best way of a nutshell, of me explaining that everything right now pertaining to how I understand Adronis, to understanding my own universal consciousness, is now a convergence of one.
And I figured that, and I think it's really interesting how we can observe, how far we've come by how much we see things as separate from ourselves. So I really liked that answer. And I have a question I would ask Adronis, but do you think that he would have an introductory message, or would you just go ahead and bring him through and then I'll ask the question?
Yeah, I think the feeling I'm getting is that he'll probably do the message around the end of the show or just before he concludes. And so that will be kind of the message. So I think we can start off with kind of an open forum with him.
Okay.
And then I think about the end of time.
Okay. I just want to let the callers know if you have a message you'd like to ask this multidimensional mentor, Adronis, now would be the time to call in. It would be area code 646-716-8890, and you just press 1 to enter the queue, and you get a chance to ask, a very important question that may be, something that's blocking you from, being your multidimensional self at this time. So I'll give you a second to bring Adronis through, and we'll probably hear when he can. There's a pretty good forced air out of your lungs or something.
Yes.
But I know that he just comes in with a whoosh, so that's what we're going to hear, and then he'll introduce himself, and then I'll ask a question.
Okay, great. Yeah, so thank
you
you so much, and I'll go ahead and I'll bring Adronis in, and we'll get started. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this particular broadcast being brought forward through your Internet collective consciousness. What we would like all of you to do at this time is simply allow yourselves to get relaxed, get comfortable, and tune in to the vibrations of Sirius, so that you may synchronize, harmonize, and align to all the information that we have to share. Also understand that all of the information that we shall provide this moment within your time is simply that of our perspective, our point of view. For all knowledge, all information, all creation itself resides within your very hearts, beings, and souls. And so we say hello to the individual known as Michelle. Thank you. And how may we assist you today?
Hi, Adronis. Thank you. I'm thinking for the collective humanity, most of the people that are listening here, and they're trying to figure out, Brad told us about how to become one with ourself, and we realize that we are one with everything out there. But really, I think a lot of us are wanting to shift into like a new consciousness and kind of uplift things on the planet pretty quickly to get us out of this, what we see, this chaos and mess around us. And does this involve like a frequency shift that bathes the planet, or is this an individual basis where it's just going to take a long time to do? Do you understand what my question is?
Yes, perfectly. Now, the whole idea really in the idea of the bait and switch in that sense has already transpired upon your planet. It is basically, again, what you would know as an infernal that is getting larger and larger and larger. Now, understand in regards to the idea of what chaos represents. Chaos is the representation of stagnation that has been around your planet for so long, building itself up, that through the release in regards to the state and opportunity of expansion has actually generated the chaos that is before you. So everything that is representing chaos in your reality right now is the natural effect, the side effect in that way of how you are all evolving yourselves. Because understand that when you're on this planet and in regards to everything that has happened dogmatically throughout many of your generations of time, going all the way back into your times of Lemuria, that this is all now starting to unfold. You are, in that sense, having a great deal of transformations that need to take place so that energy can run through the courses of the veins that represent Mother Earth herself. And in order for that to happen, much of the sludge, much of the garbage in that particular way that has been stagnant within the cells of the membrane of Earth herself is now starting to unleash and now starting to expel itself upon the surface. So this is where you are, therefore, in that sense, discovering that certain governments are now starting to reveal many different forms of quote-unquote underhanded tactics that you are becoming aware of, and that there are, in that sense, all these different types of changes through many different arenas that are taking place in regards to the idea of what you would know as chaos. Chaos, in that sense, in the way that is happening right now, from our perspective, is exactly as it needs to happen through your planet. When there has been so much stagnation and suppression pertaining to all of these feelings, individually and collectively, that have been happening, then this is basically the entire course of how everything is going to unfold upon itself in order for there to be harmony. Harmony will not automatically be generated. So everybody upon your planet right now is, yes, being affected by this. There are some in that sense who are panicking, and there are some who also see this as a part of a natural form of expression, a natural course pertaining to a cycle, and that cycle itself must run its course in order for all this particular form of contrast to now therefore be exposed. And as it becomes exposed, you are now realizing that thank you so much, darkness and stagnancy, for showing us more about what we do not want. Now we are able to move and transform that together. You cannot just be birthed into the light. You must go through the shadows first and understand the extremes of what these shadows are attempting to tell you in order for you to have a realization to evolve. So this is what you would refer to as the precipice imminence. And through the idea of the imminence of being upon the precipice, you are now seeing all these intense extremes coming to the surface, and now you are able to see that for yourself. Nope, I don't want that in my reality. Nope, I don't want that in my reality. Thank you so much, the darkness, for showing this to me. And so now that I see this, I can get into that catapult, I can flick the lever, and now I can shoot myself into the light because I have already chosen what I do not prefer, and I will now start to live in what I do prefer. This is what every single one of you is going through at this time.
Thank you. And I do understand that we're going through cycles, and that in this particular time, one cycle is ending, one large cycle is ending, and another cycle is beginning. Is Earth doing this on her own and then bringing humanity through, or is humanity as a collective consciousness of her, is this a symbiotic relationship, or
yes.
Which comes first, the chicken or the egg here?
Both, because there must be a chicken for there to be an egg. There must be an egg for there to be a chicken. So the whole idea really is that it's not looking at yourself in the separation between what is third density, self-based consciousness and the idea of a planetary consciousness. You are all one together. It is like looking into the layers of an onion. Yes, their onion has layers, but it truly is still just an onion. And so the whole idea here is that you are now stripping off the layers of that particular fat onion that no longer needs to be so bloated. You're now, in that sense, thinning it down in that particular way. So you are basically acting as antibodies for Mother Earth. You are acting pertaining to the idea of the protective cells that are now starting to work together with Earth herself. Now, again, everything that represents the idea pertaining to chaos has been something that has been inherited for thousands of years of your time. And the reason why you are experiencing this is, as the conduit has elaborated, this is all part of equivalent exchange. Again, understand that as your particular form of group consciousness has been through many different turmoils, it repeats those particular forms of aspects relating to chaos until there is a realization that it need not be repeated anymore. And so this is basically what's starting to happen. You're going through many of these old cycles that are attempting to repeat themselves, and many of you are noticing that these cycles are repeating themselves, and you're nipping it in the bud, as it were. And so this is basically what's happening right now, is that the cycles that have been constantly repetitive throughout the thousands of your years that you have been on planet Earth throughout many different incarnations are now coming to a point of a new cycle togetherness. The idea of a breach that is now allowing yourselves to see we need to go through all this turmoil, we need to go through all this debris in order for us to change, in order for us to make another selection that is opposite to the idea of what we've constantly selected to create the chaos wheel to go round and round. And so now that chaos wheel is changing itself entirely, and now it's becoming a wheel of naturalness. And so this is precisely where you are moving into as you recognize the patterns that no longer serve to now choose the patterns that do serve.
Thank you. Is this about frequency of the planet and frequency of our body as far as vibration? And if so, are we being affected by the position of the planet in the cosmos at this time? In other words, some people talk about waves of electromagnetic energy of higher consciousness that are bathing the planet, and that in September, end of September, perhaps early October, there's kind of expected to be a really nice kick in the ass wave coming through to help people move more into perhaps more psychic ability, and at the same time shake the crap out of other people who really are in a lower vibrational state. Could you give us some information about how you see some perhaps predictions of upcoming energy waves, and if this is about vibration?
Your analogies are appropriately sound, so we thank you very much for the humor. Now, the whole idea in that sense, yes, is true that you are moving in through different forms of shifts that are taking place through the idea of your upcoming fall or autumnal equinox. And this is basically what many people are saying, that something's happening in September. Yes, because you are moving into the equinox. You are moving into a very large, shall we say, removal of a layer pertaining to your collective consciousness. Now, it is not here in that sense to do something for you. It is for you to do something with it. And that is the whole idea. The earth does not control you. It is more so in the idea that you are on this boat and that you are in that sense sailing towards a certain cause, but everything that is happening upon this boat is your call. You have to decide that you're sailing this personal boat through the ocean and that you're being guided towards a certain form of current. Now, you can either stay on the current and take you into an area that you know you prefer, or you can feel that you are panicking and swerving the wheel and moving off completely in the current and now facing extreme bulk transformations relating to the idea of what does not serve you. So the whole idea here is that you can bear the brunt by panicking, or you can stay the course of the current. So yes, there are certain things that are happening together within the point of your September. Now, if we are to look at it in the idea of a collective consciousness form of events that are taking place, you will notice that there will be continual fluctuations in regards to what you would know as your monetary properties. You will notice that your stock exchange, in that sense, will continue to fluctuate, and there may even, in that sense, be certain forms of what you would know as plummets that may occur pertaining to the idea of your stock exchange. But again, this is all part of a natural direction because the monetary system that you understand right now is looking to change itself. We are not saying that it is going to change itself entirely around this time, but you will notice that there will be speed bumps in regards to monetary system together in that way. You will notice in that sense that there will be in that quote-unquote scandals that will be appearing more so in the idea of the political arenas. You will also discover that through the idea of certain foreign policies in regards to other nations and other countries, that there are in that sense new initiatives being brought forward that are attempting to, shall we say, make it illegal for corruption to actually be present anymore. So again, that is starting to play itself out. You'll see some more of these peaks that are happening. You'll also notice, again, many other group changes that will happen throughout yourself. The idea of new educational systems, the idea of new technologies coming online, the idea of further revealing of extraterrestrial consciousness in regards to your waves of disclosure. So again, this will start to move itself together just as peaks, just as something that is upon the horizon, the hints, as it were, that is now starting to move together into the month of September, and again, further into the idea of your fall and winter time of 2015. Now, again, it's all about that you yourselves are going to be going through some personal changes as well. That everything that is taking place in regards to the galaxy right now is all fundamentally part of this energy that is being collected by prisms that are surrounding your world, that are surrounding other planets, that are surrounding the entire geometrical harmonic of your entire star system. The whole idea, and many of you feeling that there may be some type of meteor or some type of asteroid that is going to hit your planet. No. Understand that your particular planet is under a great deal of, shall we say, interventional caretaking, and that your particular planet can move out of the idea of the course of an asteroid path just as it is easy for you to click and hold an icon on your computer desktop from moving it from one corner to the other. It is that easy to actually do, and you don't even feel a thing. So the whole idea is that you are moving through the course of a galactic transit. And through this particular galactic transit, there are certain prisms that are taking place that are gathering this particular energy to either withhold it or, in that sense, distribute it minutely through the idea of your own planet to allow these particular forms of changes to occur. Now, many of these particular forms of prisms are not actually visible within your spectrum. They are, again, filters that represent that. You would understand them to be spherical in nature. And so that they are basically, in that sense, absorbing much of the brunt pertaining to your CMEs, pertaining to more forms of cosmic dust and other particular phenomena that is actually creating much of this voltage pertaining to energy that is coming together in your planetary star cluster. And that through this particular form of intervention that is taking place, distribution will happen appropriately in regards to succinct levels of phases that will move into the idea of the current of aligned phases and, in that sense, integrational points to what you would know as your common times of calendar months. So again, you may see this very often through the idea of your equinoxes, through the idea of your phases of the moon, the new moon, the full moon, etc. You will also notice, again, certain numerological dates that will also synchronize to the idea of the celestial phenomena, integrating this particular type of energy to come forward and apply itself together to moving yourself into those higher states of consciousness. Yes, that certainly can happen, but that's up to you to take that particular energy and ride with the wave. The energy itself will not take you there by itself. It is a prop, and so therefore you must decide, with all of that energy coming through, with all the peeling away of the layers that are happening on your planet, that this is for you to decide, how will I ride this wave? You can do it, again, by following the natural course of the current, or you can panic and, in that sense, swerve away and face the brunts. So again, it's up to you to decide exactly how this energy portrays itself to you through your own natural state of harmony.
Thank you. I have one more question from the chat room here, and then we will take our first caller. I think a lot of us have decided that we would like to reactivate or turn on our dormant codons in our DNA and be able to perhaps have more psychic abilities, to be able to connect with our higher self and maybe our other aspects of our soul that have had parallel lives and different things that we feel like innately that we are here to be some of the first people to be able to do this. Is this really something that we should focus on at this time, this DNA activation? And if so, how can we use this wave of energy or this higher frequency consciousness energy that's bathing the planet to do that?
The idea in regards to what you would understand as your own DNA advanced sequences is not something that can be consciously controlled. The whole idea is that they function together in what you would refer to as time lock initiative sequences. And what this time lock initiative sequence simply represents is very similar to the analogy as what you would understand as an orchestra. And that at the beginning of the orchestra, in that sense, there are, shall we say, certain tones that captivate you and uplift you. And then there will be areas of the orchestra that will start to make you feel like you are mellowing out a little bit. And then again, you will hear the crash and the impact and the amplification of the sound that will enrich your soul. So the whole idea here is that you're dealing with the idea of sequence. It is not meant for all of you to receive all of the idea of the activation pertaining to your light codon sequences to actually fire up simultaneously. To have that happen would destroy the physical vehicle. You would, in that sense, combust. So the whole idea is because that is so much energy, in order for that to happen all at once, that's not what you're going through as a people, and we do not wish to, quote-unquote, blow you all up. So the whole idea here is that there needs to be, again, an orchestra, a symphony pertaining to harmonic convergence that takes its place and takes its role appropriately in regards to a certain form of stream of effect that your planet can handle, that you yourselves can handle, that your animal kingdom, that your plant kingdom, that your elemental kingdoms can handle. And as long as you are able to continue to handle this based upon how you define the energy, you will notice that you are already perfectly calibrated to communicating with everything that represents yourself. That is not an absence of yourself right now. It is more so looking into you pertaining to personal restrictions. When you are going through the idea of limitations based upon higher self-integration, based upon communicating with spirit guides, based upon going into deeper states of meditation, being able to access the universal mind, it has nothing to do with saying, well, I'll just wait till there's more energy. No. It is more so in the idea that your own personal restrictions are creating the turmoil, preventing you from going into those particular levels. It is the speed bumps that you're putting upon yourself in regards to how you associate yourself to feel that something needs to be done a certain way, or that something needs to happen in this way because this is what this person has said. It is more of the lack of the trust of yourself to actually have the commitment factor to moving yourself into those particular types of alignments, rather than the idea of feeling that you are capable of doing this all by yourself, because that's how it works. Only you can evolve you. It does not matter how much energy is dumped on the planet. Doesn't matter. Yes, you will have certain forms of new phases happening in regards to what you would know as collective consciousness phenomena. Yes, you will notice that there will, in that sense, be greater heat, as it were, pertaining energetically to your body. But you have reached the appropriate point right now where it is actually very possible for every common man, woman, and child on your planet, every single one of them right now, to be in a natural state of universal connection with all that is. You have reached that point. That prime radiance, in that sense, has now shined itself so brightly upon your planet that you're able to do this now. You do not need to say, well, oh my goodness, when September comes, here comes the higher self. No, it can happen right now. Oh, when September comes, I can access the Akashic Records. No, it can happen right now. So all of you are already calibrated to the point that is necessary to moving yourself into the alignment. And the only reason why there is restriction is the personal restrictional barriers that you have placed upon yourself in regards to the thought matrix, the feeling matrix, the emotional matrix that you have assigned to yourself, to giving you the idea of what you consider to be valid within your reality to allow this to take place. The symphony of the universe is synchronistic in regards to your expansion, which means that as you expand, you will notice that synchronistic events will come into play and will portray themselves appropriately into greater states of expansion as you watch yourself rise. Not because energy is doing it for you, but because you are now in synchronization with the universal orchestra. You are now one with harmonic convergence. And so that is primarily how the key is made in order for you to evolve yourselves. It comes from you. It does not come from anything external.
Thank you very much. And we'll take our first caller here, and that would be area code 408. Welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Hi, my name's Anthony.
Hi, Anthony. And did you have a question for Brad or Adronis or myself today?
I had a question for Adronis.
Perfect.
Yes.
Go right
Hello,
ahead.
Anthony. How may we help you today?
Hi, Adronis. It's nice to connect with you again.
Likewise.
I was kind of curious if you could give me any advice on how to encode intentions into sound frequency. Do you have any direction on that for me?
Yes. The particular idea would be looking into the idea of certain sound frequencies that represent a very high resonance that are in compatibility with your own Schumann resonance that also coordinate in tandem together with what you would know as your 532 and 639 hertz frequencies that represent, shall we say, higher aural shifts, which means the idea of your own auric field that will move further into the idea of what you would know as a radiant that is more contemplative to the idea of an indigo to deeper oceanic or purple blue spectrum. And so this is helping you to move further into the idea of increments of sound that will in that sense further stimulate deeper states of meditation or practices that will become much more, shall we say, proficient for you to take place within the evening, approximately 1 to 2 hours before your bedtime, as it were.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
We thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Anthony.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to another call. We do have about 4 people in the queue right now. Area code 239. Welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Hi, this is Diana in Southwest Florida. I'm just
shaking
my head. Yes.
Diane?
Diana.
I'm sorry. Hi, Diana. Thanks for calling. Did you have a question for Adronis tonight?
Well, I pretty much can understand and agree with what he's saying. And I am getting the orchestra going every day with my Safagio tuning forks and trying to keep about 500. But I didn't realize, like you said, 2 hours before bedtime. I'm thinking first thing in the morning. And when I speak
that
of
was
the orchestra,
more so for the other individual. And so for you, the differences would apply.
The difference of what hour?
The differences would apply in regards to your time of day, which is in that sense more broader. The other individual who we spoke to in regards to his current increment of energetics would be more so appropriate for his evening time.
Oh, okay. So we are all different as far as the time goes.
Of course.
So is the
You're
morning
never
the time?
identical.
I know. Is the morning the time for me?
Through you, as stated, it is more broader throughout the day. So there is no, in that sense, finer time in regards to the horizon for yourself.
More throughout the day, broader throughout the day. Okay, I just had a simple question then. What we can eat as we're doing this changing. Like the other day I had a salad. I thought I was doing great. And it caused me to throw up. So I have an idea of what we should eat, but I wanted to see what you think as we're raising our vibrations. What is the best food to help us shift to this?
Yes, it is more fundamentally true that many of you now are discovering that even if there is, in that sense, very light residues pertaining to what you would know as genetically modified ingredients or what you would refer to as slight pesticides, that the body is now becoming much more sensitive to these forms. You may also understand that pollutants within your own environment can actually intake themselves throughout your own foods. And so the whole idea, again, is being able to, shall we say, mostly through many of you, are discovering more liquid diets rather than the idea of anything solid. Now, that is not to say that you need to phase out solids altogether, but it is in that sense more of a reduction pertaining to solid food, where your bodies, many of you, are actually moving more so into the idea of your smoothies, in regards to your juices, in regards to your soups, etc., that are in that sense organically created to allow the body to, in that sense, synthesize the forms of energy resonant in regards to keeping you at a higher frequency of vibration that is more connotative of your higher self.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for calling, Diana.
Yes. The whole idea really, again, is that there are many people who we are in that sense feeling now, that there are in that sense those who are very sensitive to the idea of anything that would be processed, artificialized, or in that sense pesticide enriched or even residual. So it is very, very mindful about how the food is prepared and also being very mindful of your environment as well, too, as many of you are becoming in that sense ultra sensitive.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Did you have any other questions?
Me? No, I'll let you go on to your other callers. I think you're asking all the right questions, actually.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Diana. Thanks for calling. Have a good
That
evening.
is because we are experiencing a symphony with all of you, and so everything aligns.
Yes, we are. Thanks a lot. And we'll move right along. I know there's people who would really like to get in here on some questions. Area code 312. Thank you for calling the Cosmic Awakening Show. Who's this?
Oh, hello. My name's Karen. I'm calling from Chicago. I was wondering,
Hi,
are you guys doing any readings too?
What would you like to know?
What kind?
I'm in the present right now looking for a job, and I'm wondering if you see something new coming up.
There are, in that sense, several opportunities of arenas that, in that sense, are more so following together with your passion. Are you following a particular type of career that is very passionate to you?
I'm starting to look now into management, and I saw a couple prospects, and I'm going to apply for them on Saturday because I am working now, but I'm not really happy with what I have right now.
Yes. Well, we understand that there will be certain fluctuations before an actual job is established. Again, there may be, in that sense, having to test the water a few times with certain forms of companies. However, we do assume in that feeling that the energies within the next 2 weeks of your time will grant you a new job within the idea of management career.
Okay.
Right now, again, it is about being able to test the waters. So, again, certain forms of jobs in that sense that you have applied for will eventually, in that sense, take form. But, again, you must, in that sense, dangle your rod in the water before the right fish comes along to bite.
Okay, that makes sense.
All right.
Time for you to go fishing, Karen.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, I have one more caller here. This is a Skype caller. Let me, hold on, Karen's just now hanging. Okay. So, Skype caller, can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me? Welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show. Okay, we'll move right along to the next caller. I want to make sure we help as many people as possible tonight. Area code 530, welcome to the Cosmic Awakening Show.
Yeah, my name is Ruth.
Ruth?
Hello? Yeah?
Yeah, hi, Ruth. Did you have a question for Jonas?
I have a question for Jonas. Starting on December 21st, 2012, I started having periods of dizziness, like blurred vision.
Yes.
And whether my eyes are open or shut, I see flowing geometric shaped third eye, and it's periodic. I was wondering what this is. Yesterday, I get these. It's usually every 2 weeks, sometimes more, sometimes less. But yesterday, I just kind of threw up my hands. I just totally pulled into myself. I deleted all my friends off of Facebook. I detached from all psychic, ET, everything. I just had to get out. But I keep having these downloads. It's kind of inconvenient because I drive for a living, and I'll be driving down the road, and all of a sudden my eyes go blurry, and I can't see what I'm doing. And here's these patterns. What is this?
These are basically what you would refer to as, in that sense, sequences of DNA codings that are basically, in that sense, being sent to you through a particular relay of what you would know as artificial intelligence. Now, basically, the artificial intelligence is, shall we say, created through what you would know as particular extraterrestrial beings that reside within the Pleiades, and that these particular energies that are being sent through to this one-way relay are basically helping you to, in that sense, construct a new slate of beginning for yourself. So you will notice that these particular disruptions will actually become a lot more intense as you start to move in particular areas that do not represent, shall we say, natural accord of you becoming in service. Now, this is basically giving you the idea of a transformation that is taking place within your life that will affect you personally for a certain amount of time, as there is, in that sense, an attempted communication to come through to helping you move into a new arena of tasks that will actually help, in that sense, to further integrate you more so upon the path of where you know you naturally belong. So this would have to do in the idea of what you would know as healing, therapeutic, counseling, coaching work.
Oh, good. I need lots of that.
Yes.
I hear so many things. It's hard to tell who knows what and what is true?
Correct. And this is exactly why, in that sense, you are compelled to, shall we say, erase much of your Facebook status in that way. Simply because the voices themselves that represent the idea of opinion is attempting to shrink itself down so that you can be alone in your own voice with the voices that you hear from within rather than what you feel you must do from without.
Yeah, it was, and I laid down and I felt a hand on my head, but there was no one there. And it was like there was somebody there with me. I couldn't see anybody, but I could feel them.
Yes. And these would be your, shall we say, Pleiadian friends.
They're Pleiadians. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling, Ruth.
Thank you.
So about this artificial intelligence, I'm not quite sure I'm comfortable with this. Could you explain a little bit more about why we need artificial intelligence on the planet when we are basically connected to the planet and to our Creator?
This is not on the planet. This is not on the planet.
Off the planet, but it is affecting.
The whole idea really is that, shall we say, there are certain forms of crystalline matrices that make up particular grids that, shall we say, form the harmonic resonance pertaining to your own star system and the star systems of many others. These particular artificial intelligent relays function in that sense as a way of satellite dishes, and that these particular forms of relays are programming certain levels of synchronistic symbolic codexes together through them to work together in a certain form of ray of consciousness that is working in different dimensional fields to what you would know between your astral and ethereal consciousnesses. And through that particular form of relay that is happening through this crystalline matrix, these energies are therefore providing one-way based instructions in regards to how the DNA in that sense is assorting itself through the idea of, in that sense, much of this energy of the effect to these symbols that will help to, shall we say, activate certain areas within the DNA like we were talking about, like a symphony. So much in regards to how, depending upon the person, how this DNA is being transformed is also in association not only to the sun, but also into the idea of advanced, shall we say, symbolic harmonic resonances that come together through these crystal artificial intelligent forms of technology that are actually, in that sense, beaming themselves directly into the natural consciousness of an individual to help align the certain forms of DNA to move them more into further appropriations of evolution, as well as, in that sense, attaining certain levels of memory that are now ready to come online that will help them understand more of an integrative process that will happen for them. And this is primarily about what is happening. It is in that sense referred to as artificial intelligence, but there is something very organic to it as it functions within crystalline technology, not from what you would understand as your common nuts and bolts technology.
Is this
so
the organic matrix?
As extraterrestrial artificial intelligence of a crystalline nature. Okay.
Is this the original matrix or the organic matrix that we had before basically we fell in consciousness and basically began to age and lost our telepathic abilities or our remembrance and our memory?
Fundamentally correct, yes. Again, this associates together with the transit between your stars and your planetary spheres to initiate these forms of codexes that are being implanted throughout many of you, that are allowing many of these forms of DNA codon sequences to fire up. And so this is what you would refer to as an organic context.
Okay, and would this include when these codons are fired up? Am I correct in remembering that you said this would happen on an individual basis, and if so, would this allow regeneration, healing, and rejuvenation of the physical body, where we wouldn't get old and we would be able to heal ourselves and perhaps even grow back a limb?
Well, that will eventually come. That is not precisely what this is involving. This is more so representing the idea of, again, certain forms of, shall we say, switches that are being pulled to helping you integrate your body to become more corroborative and in more functionality in regards to how your Earth is evolving with the amount of energy that is coming upon the planet. So it is not in that sense meant to evolve eventually to regrow limbs or have instantaneous healing of that nature. It is more so in the idea to, shall we say, adjust yourself in calibration so that you are able to function more dynamically upon a planet that is now receiving a great deal of energy to continue to function upon without the breach of experiencing psychosis.
Well, I think Brad and I are about the similar age. Would this be something that in our lifetime we would be able to retard our aging, to be able to live, say, let's just say past 100 years, or do you think that's something that the next generation on this planet will work towards?
A sequence in that way does exist. Yet again, this is not the sequence that is being initiated through artificial intelligence or through the idea in that sense of what is being calibrated through your people.
I understand.
But in that sense, you will eventually discover that there will be a key in that sense, a particular sequence within the mitochondrial levels of DNA itself that will actually reveal the idea of what you would know as the aging process. And it can in that sense be activated through consciousness and even eventually through your own technology from what you would know as healing beds.
Okay, I understand.
Now, this technology already exists. However, it is not currently introduced to you publicly.
Is that something similar to the John of God healing beds?
No.
Okay, thank you.
This would be more so the idea of dealing with the sequences of light contained within, shall we say, certain sound vibrations that exist within a healing bed. Very similar to the idea of a type of bath, in a way.
Oh, perfect. Okay, thank you. Now, I think that the collective people tonight listening would like to know, we don't really like to tout the negative forces on the planet. They are, I don't know if we are them, they are us, but they are there, okay? People are dealing with what they explain to me as psychic attacks, of sexual attacks from astral entities that they cannot see or control. There are a lot of people, children, that are seeing what they are describing as entities, demons, ghosts. I'm wondering what kind of information you can give people who are going through these type of experiences and why this is happening at this time.
The only reason why this is happening is because it holds emotional inheritance relationship pertaining to a similar constant of something of that nature that has been discovered in the earlier point of life or in lives previous. The whole idea really is the form that if you are experiencing much of this psychic attack or experiencing many of these particular forms of demonic energies, it is basically in the idea of being able to work together with yourself pertaining to the emotion itself that is triggering the fear. When the fear itself, therefore, becomes completely liberated, all particular forms of reality that are attempting to anchor you down into that particular form will therefore cease. When you are noticing that your young children are experiencing that, this is where you are giving yourself time to, shall we say, doing what you can to primarily soothe them and being able to work together in creating more of a space that holds the idea of a love energetic around them. As this starts to happen and as you spend more time with your children and in that sense helping them understand the incubation that is capable through love rather than the idea of fear, by keeping the environment clear of anything pertaining to stagnancy that may represent the idea of fright or scary forms, then this is what's going to help them along. Now, moving more so into the idea of the adults, it is simply the relation in regards to an inheritance of fear that you have succumbed to based upon some type of event that has taken place within your past, within this life, that in that sense has generated some type of sexual insecurity. And in that sense, particular forms of abuse that you are continuing to relive. So we would ask you to look into the particular feeling of fear. Now, in regards to your previous comment saying not too many people do not like to focus on the negative, we understand that. If you continue to bury the negative, even though you know the negative is happening to you, you will not be able to resolve this. It is very important for you to understand the embracing of what represents your shadows. If you do not, everything that represents the manifestation pertaining to those shadows will continue to reinvent itself and reversion itself within your reality for as long as it needs to. Do not be afraid of your shadows. Your shadows are coming together because they are helping to reintegrate themselves with you. And that all is part of you having shadows, because the feelings within yourself are causing the very restrictions that are preventing you from evolving past such situations of this. So looking into the idea of the fear and realizing it is no longer necessary. Being able to completely release that fear. realizing it no longer has importance within your reality, being able to substitute that particular feeling with a feeling that represents harmony, wholeness, the opposite effect of what you are going through. If it is sexual abuse, if it is psychic attack, etc., it's all part of you buying into the inheritance of what you have continued to fuel yourself with years after years after years based upon that one feeling. All particular forms of triggerings representing dismay and chaos in that way are inherited through feeling. As this conduit has shared, feelings are programs. And so the whole idea is the more that you move past the programs of feeling limitation and no longer feeling in victimhood and being able to, again, transcend those particular feelings within yourself by realizing, I am more than my physical body. I am eternal. I am allowing myself to see the universe in my hands. Therefore, I can change my feelings. I change my feelings and I utilize equivalent exchange. In order for something to be obtained, something of equal value must be given. So I am now giving up my feeling of sexual abuse, and now I'm going to bring in my feeling of sexual adequacy, my appreciation for my body, my appreciation for my environment, my appreciation for every living being in creation that there is. Now, that particular feeling that once represented sexual abuse is no longer present because you have no longer given it the focus of energy. 100% now, that energy of focus pertaining to what serves you is prominent within your reality. This is what we would refer to in that sense, what this conduit shares as abundance attunements. And this is basically what he does offer. And again, something that you can look into further through yourselves, if you choose, to helping you remove that particular feeling that does not serve and bringing in the new feeling that does serve altogether. This is the remedy to the situation.
Thank you. And I'm going to conclude this show with my experience with the abundance attunement. I have another question for you, Adronis, and then I would like to see if you have a message before I switch back to asking questions about universal laws with Brad. And so my last question would be, what is CERN being used for on this planet, the Large Hadron Collider system in Switzerland, and that is connected to other places around the planet?
The whole idea of CERN, again, has been fundamentally surrounded with many different levels of controversy. But in that sense, it would be what you would consider to be the eventual structure that will naturally create the transformation of actual stargates. Now, the whole idea is that this is not something that is threatening to your people, but it is in that sense that is something that is, shall we say, creating singularities, creating stargates that will eventually happen down the road. Now, it is not entirely certain at this point whether this will be publicly unveiled or not. But basically, this is in that sense the idea of mankind attempting to create artificialized stargates through the idea of the collision of the atoms coming together to create such singularities. Again, we do not see this as anything disastrous, and in that sense, they have made particular results with this particular CERN technology, but it has not been revealed primarily to the public. So the whole idea, again, is that there is nothing to quote-unquote fear pertaining it to be chaotic. It is in that sense very much fundamentally in the state of, shall we say, massive caretaking. But this is primarily what is attempting to happen in regards to working together with different dimensional, stargate, and singularity physics.
Are they trying to get Sirius?
No.
Okay.
This is not in the idea of attempting to, shall we say, move into another particular certain star. The whole idea in that sense pertaining to the CERN technology is that the singularity in that sense is actually looking to be developed as a power source.
Well, and in closing, Adronis, and I thank you for addressing all of these various topics, do you have a message that you'd like to share?
We understand that many of you are experiencing a very intense year from what we have referred to as the year of integration. We understand that many of you are noticing that immense changes are happening very quickly upon your planet. We understand that many of you in that sense are still very uncertain about what is happening, but we also want you to understand that you do not need to be kept in the dark. Because as you rely upon your own feelings to guide you, as you rely upon your own mentality that you know serves you, you can allow yourself to attract through yourself and through others the answers pertaining to a great deal of information that is happening around your world. But most importantly, there is also the ability of you being able to understand, to gravitate yourself in the areas and arenas and venues appropriately to your own levels of expansion. Your world is not blowing up. Your populace is not going extinct. Your entire world, in that sense, is not going through some type of apocalypse in the way that you understand is destructive. It is going through a great transformation right now, yes. It is moving into an entirely new earth right now, yes. It is moving into a new dimensional construct right now, yes. But it is moving in that particular way in regards to what has been shared with you for many, 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 many years. And so you are now in the brunt of that particular time. Stay within the energies of serving yourself. Look into the energies that do not serve as a gradual form of life lesson, a particular form of transformation that is helping you to move more into the higher degrees of vibration, light-based energies that are moving you into a great aspect of you becoming a whole new world within yourself. Focus on your world rather than what is happening with the world. We thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to you all. Thank you again. Farewell for this timing. And we now return to the conduit. We will speak to you again, as now is forever, and all is one. Goodbye. All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Hey, Brad. Listen, yeah. Well, I guess I'm a little. I don't know if uncomfortable is the word or just confused about the fact that, our government would be doing this secret CERN program and trying to open up stargates and keeping so much information from the general public. Now, granted, we know that most of the general public hasn't awakened, but there are, those of us on the planet that consider ourselves here of higher consciousness have tuned in to this harmonic balance and are basically here trying to give information to people that will help them to understand what's happening. But why are they keeping information from us if this is supposed to be something for our good on CERN? Do you have any personal comment on that you could help me understand this a little better?
From what I've received, there again has been a lot of different forms of discussions pertaining to this Great Hadron Collider that has attempted to be used for, shall we say, weapon-based purposes. Now, they actually have had extraterrestrial intervention coming in together and saying that if you attempt to utilize this for any particular type of destructive purposes, you will never allow it to be activated. And so they basically have had this particular type of censorship, and this is exactly why they've kept it very much under wraps. I don't want to go too deeply into it because there's a big story to it. What I'm receiving here, I didn't even know about this. I'm just receiving this consciously. But they have actually had interventions in saying that you will not utilize this for any particular types of weapon purposes. And this is exactly why it has been shut down many times. There's just been attempts and feeling that they have tried to utilize this in regards to their own base ends to serve them themselves. So the only reason, again, why there's been a lot of shutdowns and restartings in that sense is they're still wondering what they can do with this. And so they are actually working together with other extraterrestrial groups to actually seeing how this can be brought in positively. So there was an attempt in the past to try and make this something hostile. But this has now been under new management, so to speak. And it is being watched very, very carefully and making sure that everything that comes through the collider is basically, in that sense, in service to mankind. There will be no attempts in attempting to make this a type of weapon or anything that would create any kind of hostility. So it is being scrutinized and very much kept under watch, under close guard on many different civilizations level beyond our planet to making sure that it is utilized for what eventually will be more so beneficial for humanity because it certainly has that capability. It's kind of like looking at many other particular technologies, things that Tesla has involved and invented in that way that could be very, very good for us and, of course, has attempted to be manipulated by other groups. And so it's basically attempting to create a filter with that and making sure that nothing horrifying comes together with that. And that won't happen because we're under such intervention right now from so many different beings that nothing like that will take place. So if there are any pretty good events that are taking place, Adronis has stated that this will be used more as a power source through singularities being developed that will eventually could lead into a new alternative energy for ourselves.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if you don't feel comfortable talking about this, or if you don't know anything about this, just let me know.
You can talk to me, but absolutely, there's nothing that I feel uncomfortable about. So
Are
I'm
you
good.
familiar with? Thank you. Are you familiar with Corey Good and what he the beings
yes.
that he's in contact with called the Sphere Being Alliance?
Yes. I've recently seen the video.
Okay, so can you tell me your own personal opinion about whether this is accurate information, or is he basically working through a MyLab program where he maybe, I don't know, maybe doesn't really, I don't know. We know that he knows. We know that he thinks that this is his truth. And my question is, are there a Sphere Being Alliance, and are they here working in the best interest of humanity, in your opinion?
What I'm about to state, and I want everybody to understand this, is just my opinion, is just my perspective. Anybody feels that they have their own perspective of Corey Good and all that and everything he's going through, that's great, because I respect everybody's perspective. From my perspective, Corey is completely accurate. Everything that he has been saying is completely right on the money, and I think this is exactly why I've tuned into him and seen this, and I'm just like applauding when I'm seeing him do this stuff. Yes, he is absolutely correct. With the sphere beings, it's exactly what Adronis is talking about pertaining to the prisms that are working around the planet that filter out a lot of that. The blue avians, in that sense, completely accurate. I've felt those particular types of energies. I haven't interacted with the blue avians themselves, but they are, again, basically just kind of different density-based beings in that sense. And yeah, he's absolutely correct with that. I do not feel any particular type of deception because I tune in right into the guy when he's talking. Everything that comes out of his mouth is purely from the heart space. There's still certain things of, technical forms of physicality that he's going through, and it's still attempting to understand his spiritual path. But I could say that, David Wilcock has done a great job of being able to find this guy and bring him forward, and I've been listening to, again, everything that he's been saying. And I'm just going, yes, 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 and I'm nodding my head as well, too, because his information is very much similar to what I'm getting. An example of that is the idea of the 22 genetic programs. This is very accurate. Basically contained within our DNA holds the idea of 22 different extraterrestrial civilizations. So that is very correct. Alex Collier has also said the same thing also. Adronis has been saying this for years as well. So, and everything that he's just been saying in regards to the bases, the installations he's been having, the idea of Solar Warden, the idea of Dark Fleet, the idea of Lunar Command, etc., completely accurate. So for me, I just tap into him. I'm saying, Corey, great job. I actually emailed Corey not so long ago. And I said, brother, thank you so much for sharing this information. I just want you to know I'm a channeler as well. I get this information as well, and it's very much on par with what I've received. So keep up the great work. Everything that you are saying to me resonates very well. People will always throw in the crap about, oh my God, is this my lab, or is this guy, or is this thing, et cetera, because again, we love to have controversy. We want to feel that we're on top of the limelight, and we want to dive into this and saying that, oh my goodness, this person is this, that, and the other thing, because it makes us feel good. It makes us feel like, we get that kind of personal importance, right? But again, if people feel that, they don't vibrate and resonate together with Corey's message, that's fine. It's just that I know where a lot of these particular attacks can happen. It is just basically noticing that he's getting into a big audience in a big venue right now, and a lot of people want to try and pull that away from him and saying, no, that's not what I've received, or that's not what I'm receiving. Is this guy my lab? Is this guy under some MK Ultra thing, et cetera, right? So there will always be those excuses. But the whole idea is that my recommendation to everybody, stop thinking about the messenger and let the message speak for itself. If you already know that you're in resonance with a particular message, then that's all that matters. That's why I don't really dive into the idea of, is Adronis this and is he that and what's his personality aspect and all that. I don't dive into that. It's all about being able to look into the message. As long as the message seems clear, then you know that this is something that you've been receiving as well, then you know you can trust it. If you know that this is something that's a little bit different that you're not sure of yet and you're not too sure about it, that's fine as well too. But it's not about trying to take the skeletons in the closet and thinking that I need to slander this person because I just don't agree with what he's saying. Reality is by interpretation. And so if you already know that this is your own truth and that you're looking at the message rather than the messenger, then you understand. And that's the very important thing to look at. Through channeling, through psychic ability, through black ops, community, through everything else, whatever is reality to you, and as long as it vibrates in resonance to you, you understand truth. And it's for you to be more respectful and looking into the divine aspect of your own unique truth and to follow it. That's the key here.
Well, I knew there was a really good reason why that came to mind while I was in the middle of the show tonight, and it just came to mind to write down to ask you about it. And when you were giving me your opinion of Corey Good, I get these internal chills when I hear truth. So you are definitely speaking your truth. I can vouch for that. And I mean, they were just going wild inside my body. So I have asked Corey to be on my show, and I know that he's busy. He says he would like to be on the show, but he has too many commitments at this time. So for those of you who have been asking me to get Corey on the show, I've already tried. I would like to give you an opportunity to talk about universal laws, and then we'll talk about my healing experience with you.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, again, as we were talking about earlier on the program, that I was looking at the law of equivalent exchange. Now, again, we're looking at basically the quote-unquote 9 universal laws. Now, this is actually covered in one of my courses that I have online through my website called Law of Attraction Unleashed, because we don't just talk about the law of attraction, we talk about all the corresponding universal laws to making the law of attraction more powerful than you can possibly imagine, and it's had some really great benefits with it. So the basic 9 laws, in that sense, I'll start with the first 6, is what's known as the law of free will, the law of equivalent exchange, the law of karma, the law of light, the law of love, and of course the law of attraction. Then, of course, we have the 3, which are in that sense more processing-based universal laws, which represent the idea of the law of cause and effect, the law of continuity, or the law of time, and of course the law of property, which also represents space. Right? So we have these 9 particular universal laws, but we primarily just function on the 6, because the 6 in that sense is more in the idea of interchanging. And so when you look at the idea of, firstly, the law of equivalent exchange, this again is a very, very big law. It's not something that's talked about a lot. Again, when I go through the laws, a lot of people may be familiar with that. Okay, yeah, we got law of attraction, we got law of free will, we got love, we got light, we got karma, absolutely. Law of equivalent exchange. Well, if we were to look at the idea of the law of equivalent exchange, we would see it as a balanced scale, okay, a scale that is perfectly balanced. And it's always holding an equal distribution of weight on the left and right-hand forms of its own scale. And so law of equivalent exchange is, again, helping you to understand the value of what you put in that sense, that represents what you are looking to attain. So if you're looking to attain to becoming this great, evolved spiritual man, spiritual woman, and, you want to develop your own psychic abilities and you want to be able to connect with your higher self in that sense. However, you are noticing that through equivalent exchange, you're still not certain about yourself. You still can't trust yourself. You still may have a lot of fears in regards to receiving intuitive information. You're still relying more so upon other people's information rather than yourself, and that's going to be conflicting. So as soon as we have that particular type of energetic there, the universe is going to bring about that type of equivalent exchange for it. So again, this is how everything has happened. Now again, other in the news, I know there's some people that have been talking about, quote-unquote, a California earthquake and all that stuff like that. And I commented on this on my Facebook as well, too. So I just saw a lot of my Facebook friends, and again, I'm just kind of giving an example of equivalent exchange here, being able to talk about, California, oh my goodness, there's supposed to be some type of mega quake happening, and California is going to sink into the sea. And I immediately told people, guys, that's not going to happen, right? The whole idea here is in order for something of a disaster like that to happen, you need to have disaster through every single person that is contained within that element. If there is no particular form of fear vibration that is at the equivalent exchange necessary for a particular disaster to happen, the disaster will not happen. And that's basically what's happening with the world right now. And again, this is why we're noticing that, there's some shifts, there's some bumpy stuff happening around the world, but there could be things that, if we're looking 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago have been devastating that do not happen anymore. And that's because so much of the population is waking up. We're not just talking about a few people here. We're talking about a lot of people. And this is basically showing that equivalent exchange is basically giving us an overview about how the world itself is changing. That, they want to try and feel that California needs to be hit with a massive earthquake, and it does not represent the equivalence of that happening. So equivalent exchange is giving you the idea that as long as you see yourself valued in the way of what it is that you want to attain, and you are able to give up everything else that is detrimental to what you wish to attain, now you're able to have space to bring about that equivalence of what it is that you want to give, right? So that's basically, and again, in association with many things. This is an association to attraction. This is an association together with karma, with the idea of love and light, etc. So all of the laws work together as one. So it's not just focusing on the law of attraction, okay? It's about being able to look in the idea of how you associate and develop a relationship with all of the universal laws that, again, are part of our world. They are the primordial forms of substances in that way, or substancelessness in that sense, that is basically governing our world. So look into the idea about how the universal laws themselves can help you when you have equivalent exchange, when you have the idea of positive and negative karma balancing itself out very well, when you realize that your free will is allowing you to make the choices that prefer you, that allow you to complement yourself. And, of course, being able to have that love and that light, being able to know that you are worthy, that you deserve all the love in the world, everything that represents light, that you have the knowledge to make your own decisions and to pass into that particular way of everything that serves you. Then you're moving into the idea of how everything in life can truly be you in pure God and goddess form. You have the ability right now to live as a god and a goddess. And I'm not exaggerating that. I'm not being metaphorical here. You actually have the power right now to have incredible manifestations, to actually have a dream-based reality that is available to you right now, but the only thing that's holding you back is your own personal restrictions. And I think that's really been a lot of the theme of the show tonight. And so I really just want all of you guys to do some homework tonight. I want you to really just be able to know that everything that I'm thinking about tonight is based upon my love, and that I am able to go into this love, I am able to go into these feelings and start to transform them and make a feeling generation of myself and start to manifest some incredible things. So my homework for all of you tonight would be looking into your feelings. Start to look in regards to what you're attracting on a daily basis with your feelings. Do they serve you? Do they not serve you? Get a piece of paper and write it down, and find out exactly what you feel is your overview of the feelings that you're going through right now. Because, again, you have the power to be as magnificent, as wonderful, as incredible as you wish. You just have to start living in that particular vibration.
And when we started this show, I didn't really think we'd be going 2 hours, but we're almost at 2 hours, and I promised you I'd try to keep it around that. I have one more question. How about approximately between the 7 to 8 billion people that are on the planet, and your experience with Adronis and going into things, do you have an approximate estimate about how many people are actually on the awakening path versus, like when I awakened, there was definitely a difference. Like 5 years ago, right, it hit me, and I knew, and I did a 180-degree turn. That's exactly what you described, about how
yes.
many people right now are on that path.
Yeah, I could only estimate a minimal percentage, and that would probably be at least 20% of the world's population.
Okay,
so
thank you.
There's a very large amount that's being birthed here. So we're really looking at the idea of 1/5 of the world's population is really starting to awaken, and you can see that when you start looking at all of these crowd gatherings all across the world. When you're looking at Greece, when you're looking at Italy, when you're looking at Spain, when you're looking at the United States, when you're looking at Canada, when you're looking at China, Russia, etc. All of these forms of groups that are happening are very much en masse. And again, that's still not even showing the entire picture. We're awakening by leaps and bounds. The snowball effect has already happened, and now it's just rolling down the hill.
And that's such great news. And I know that every time that we do a show, and that every time you help somebody, and, we dedicate, our lives to this, and most of our time on this planet, because we know that that's what we came here to do. But every time we help somebody, just one person, it helps everybody. It helps affect everyone in their reality around them as well. So
That's right.
it's rapidly growing, and I'm just so proud of us for
exactly. And one recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. And one recommendation I can give as well too for people, and I'll make this real quick, is if you feel that in a lot of your life that you have been abused, or you feel you have given abuse to people, you can counteract that immediately by following and serving innocence. The more that you are able to serve innocence in that way is, again, accumulating equivalent exchange for you to become in the innocence vibration. Innocence vibration is, again, becoming more in the idea of that natural love vibration, that natural love frequency. So if you feel that you have, in that sense, been abused, or you feel that, in that sense, you have delivered abuse to people, start working with innocence. Start serving innocence. And the more that you start to do that, you'll notice that there's going to be a very large immediate turnaround in your life.
Yes, and that is opposed to righteousness and ego, the
Yes.
opposite. Okay, thank
Yep.
you. Now, you have this new healing technique that you call abundance healing. And on
Abundance.
Tuesday, we had
Yeah.
it. I'm sorry, did I say it right?
Yeah, sorry, abundance attunements, it's called.
Thank you. Abundance attunement healing. And so on Tuesday, we had a short session together. We had a Skype session, face-to-face. And what you did for me is, the way I interpreted it is, you basically you asked my permission on 3 different areas to whether I am ready, right, I was ready right that moment to replace the energies and the disease or dis-ease or the pain that I was having with a higher vibrational energy, and then what I would call that energy, and then what my trigger would be to bring that feeling back if the pain were to come back. And so, and you can explain it a little bit better, but this is how I interpreted it, and that I was reprogramming that energy that was causing pain, and replacing it with supportive energies that would not cause me pain. And so,
That's right.
how did I do on that?
Well, how do you feel? How do you feel after the session?
No, I mean, how did I do on explaining that? And then I'll tell you how I feel.
Oh, you're great. Like I said, you explained it very, very well, and it is very much just like that. It's you're giving no power to what doesn't serve, and you're giving all power to what does, in the greatest form of explaining it in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, I have for the past 7 years I've had an excruciating hip pain that only happens when I sleep at night. It used to happen when I would walk long distances. I would get this hip pain in my joint, and it would keep me from being able to walk very far, so I wouldn't be able to exercise very much. And then it just went to when I was laying down at night. No matter if I was laying on my right side or my left side, I would have pain on my right hip, inside my right hip, or pain in my left hip. I had x-rays when I had insurance, and there was nothing found, and nothing really found out of alignment. So I realized that this is an energetic thing that I'm carrying, and I began working on myself all this time, and the pain would just come and go. But it did really begin to interfere with my sleep patterns, and it is excruciating to wake up to. And so on Tuesday night, when we had the session, I slept like a baby Tuesday night. I didn't have any hip pain. I didn't have any hip pain last night at all. And this has been going on. I've had a very recent hip pain for at least the last week. So I'm very happy with it. And you gave me a recording with a meditation that I can do to repeat the process if, in fact, I slip and allow restriction, which would cause more hip pain to come back again. But not only that, but if there's another pain that my body serves me and says, okay, I'm going to make your head hurt here now because you need to know that you have energy stuck in that area of your energy field. That's what pain is. It's your body telling you, okay, something's coming up that needs to be cleared. Then I can use this meditation for that as well. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm so glad to hear of the great
response, I want to thank
of the
you.
amazing results. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent.
And
yeah, it's amazing that I hear this because you're not alone. I've heard every single person I've done this attunement with has had amazing transformations take place instantly. And that's basically it. Even if it's not instantaneous fully, they start going through the next night and everything is gone. And they're awakening a completely new person. Now, I've done a lot of research in the past 7 years in so many different healing techniques. I've looked at Reiki, I've looked at bioenergetic healing, I've looked at everything that you can possibly think of. And I just basically received this energy of developing this technique when I was developing my course called Law of Attraction Unleashed. And I received this information, and I just started making it into an actual system that really generates effect. I started utilizing this system, and it has been the first time ever that I actually just almost started, laughing hysterically in so much joy when I had this happen. Like I would just walk down the street and I would start doing the healing technique. I'd snap my fingers, bam, gone. And, oh my God, I'm just like trying to contain my excitement walking out in public, right? And this again is probably the most, again, I'm just giving my perspective, probably the most powerful and effective and miraculous based healing method I've ever seen. It's just absolutely incredible. It definitely has a lot of energies from different types of healing techniques as well. But just being able to see, quite a lot of people I've worked with, several dozen people already so far with this technique, and they have just showered me and said, oh my God, Brad, this is amazing. It's gone. This thing I've been working with for 10, 20 years is gone now. And I have this little MP3 that I can tap into and I can turn on and play it while I'm in the car or, whatever. And now that all that's gone, so now I can work on other areas. And it's transformed my life as well, too, because I was still feeling some areas of stagnancy also. And I do this technique, and it's gone. And so I'm planning on taking this very, very far because we do work together for about an hour, on average with people. And so I work with them, and we attempt to remove a lot of these particular feelings and bring in new ones. So this is called Abundance Attunements. And you can find this on my website at realitywhisperer.com, and you can go ahead and purchase a session, and we can work together for up to an hour, and you have that MP3 with you for the rest of your life. So, all you really need is one session with me, and then you got this incredible technique that you can use for as often as you want.
Well, and I have this intuitive feeling that it's actually giving benevolent extraterrestrials or whoever it is, I don't care who it is, when you get healed, it's like giving them permission to work on you in a way.
Yeah.
I can't explain it any other way. That's kind of, it's like miraculous. And I know that we are supposed to have the ability to heal ourselves, but damn it, I've been working on that for a long time and hadn't gotten anywhere. So it's really hard for people to stay in a high vibrational rate of their body and to keep positively thinking when they're distracted by pain or disease. Now, for someone who has something like Brad, like Lyme disease or cancer, is this something that you've dealt with your patient, not patients? That's absolutely the wrong word to say, with your clients.
I haven't had too many quote unquote cancer clients in that sense. I have had people who have had really bad back pain. I have had people in that sense who have had, problems with diabetes. I have had people in that sense just working together with a lot of emotional issues as well. But what I can say is that this does work with cancer, and it can help to heal it very quickly. So I don't want to make any 100% promises because, again, the actions come through you. I'm just guiding you, and you can make this happen to anywhere in your body that you feel is causing contamination. And it really, again, just comes down to anchoring the feeling. So what I would say is that this technique is a facilitator to helping you heal cancer, to helping you heal any particular type of disease, because you're the one doing the work. And again, I'm just the one guiding you. And so that's basically what this technique is designed, is really giving you a simplistic approach to healing anything, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, anything of that particular type of nature. It's designed to work together with you because it's everything that can be anchored together with a feeling that doesn't serve to then bring in a feeling that does serve. And that can be the idea of the complete liberation of cancer, of diabetes, of anything, as long as you're able to know that you're capable of doing this. And that's what I work together with you, because you're the one making the miracle. I'm not the one. So that's basically what we do in the session, is just helping you to become the miracle yourself.
And now you do so many different things for people. They can book a session to get a single past life reading or a multiple past life reading. You do healings. You do, you can work on chakras, on helping people to clear their chakras and run the energy. You do an internet show, and you have YouTube. You have a YouTube channel called Self Empowerment, and you have all kinds of free information on that YouTube channel. You've written several books and have them on the internet. Do you have any out on like Amazon or anything like that, or is it all internet on your books?
Yeah. There's one on Amazon. It's one of my recent books that I wrote. It's called Rainbow Wisdom. You can go ahead and download that. You can get a free, not a free one. You can get an online PDF copy from my website, or you can go to Amazon.ca. The link is on my website as well too, and you can order it. I've also done a past book with Adronis, doing channeling with him. I've also written some spiritual fiction books as well too, and I'm also in the midst of creating a web TV series as well right now too. So I'm busy. But
you really do dedicate your all of your time to this. And I have read I've read Rainbow Wisdom, and I did resonate very much with it, I have to say, and I thank you for allowing me to read that. And let's see. Yes, and let's see, did I leave anything out?
I think we're good.
Okay.
But like I said, if people want to know more information, if people want to know more information about me, then the best thing to do is just go to my website. Again, it's realitywhisperer.com. It's all one word, RealityWhisperer.com. That's realitywhisperer.com. You can follow me on Facebook as well, too. Again, I am creating a web TV series right now based upon the very first book that actually helped me to awaken. So that's going to be going into pre-production in fall time. So I'm looking forward to launching that to the world.
Okay, Brad. It's been an honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Good night.